Good afternoon, sir. My name is Rachelity Matai, ID number 2018-2328. I'll be discussing my lesson plan this afternoon to you. My lesson will be on the strand social organization and process from the substrand types of government. This is from the year 10 social science syllabi. My topic is also on types of government. The duration of this lesson will be 45 minutes, and it will be an introductory lesson. Moving on, I used the year 10 social science e-textbook provided online from the MOE online page to prepare the lesson, and I also used internet resources including articles and pictures to prepare this lesson. My previous knowledge, every student must have noticed their own parents taking part in election processes for the process of electing a new government, so they should have already understood the fact that the government of the day is a democratic nation. With this, besides that, a student must know that apart from a democratic type of government, there are three more types of government that influence the world. Moving on to my learning objectives. On completing this lesson, each student should be able to firstly define each type of government type discussed in the notes. That covers the cognitive learning domain. Second objective, they are to identify the different types of government and the features of each type of government. That comes under psychomotor learning domain. And the third objective, they are to explain the different types of government and its advantages and disadvantages of each type of government. This comes under effective learning domain. Moving on, these are the teaching resources or teaching aids that I will be using to teach. If I was provided a proper learning environment, I will be using the blackboard, duster, and chalk. Or I could use the charts or the use of projectors, flash drive, and a laptop to proceed with my lesson. Moving on, as I will proceed with the lesson, this is how I will first settle down my students as motivational activity. As you can see, I will settle down the students, I will greet the students, then I will conduct a motivational activity with the use of crossword puzzle, which consists of words relatable to the topic. For example, since my topic is on types of government, I will use words like democratic, election, president, communism, traditional, colonial, government, and leadership, etc. This is how students will respond to my motivational activity. They will settle down attentively. They will respond to me, the teacher, and participate in the motivational activity being conducted. The content summary of this motivational activity. With the participation of the students in the motivational activity, they will then get a sneak peek into what they will be learning in the classroom or during the lesson. Moving on to my introduction. Firstly, I will define the term government so that the students will know and understand the term government. Then I will introduce the 4 different types of government that will be covered during the lesson, and they include traditional, colonial, democratic, and communism. With this, students will listen attentively. The students will then realize the 4 types of government types that the teacher is discussing, and that they are not new terms as they have heard it while participating in the motivational activity. The content summary of this, students are now excited to carry forward with the lesson because the teacher has well introduced the lesson. Moving on to my development and the different phases of how I will approach the students. Firstly, I will write down and jot down notes on the board, or I will stick charts up with notes that have notes on them. And then I will briefly discuss the 4 types of government. They include traditional, colonial government, democratic, and communism. All these 4 types need to be discussed and its features and each government. Then I will ask the students if they can relate to any type of government that has been discussed, or if they've heard of any of the 4 types of government being discussed. Then after this, I will conduct a class activity, which I will give out a handout of at least 5 questions relating to the topic being discussed. Moving on, a student will then, this is how students will respond to my phases. They will copy down notes attentively, listen well during the discussion of notes, and with this, they will also understand the 4 types of government being discussed and its features. They will then participate when asked a question by a teacher. They will answer questions and also ask a question if they fail to understand a concept that was being discussed during a lesson. The content summary of this, the phases, my development phases of how I will approach this lesson, through this, the student will then learn the 4 different types of government, and they will also understand the different types of features of each government type. After the discussion of notes, they will then be able to identify which type of leadership or government type is Fiji under. Moving on to my conclusion. I will then sum up the discussion after the activity. I will ask open-ended questions so that the students can respond to by showing me if they have understood the lesson on the topic of types of government and its features. The students then now should have attained or learned something new on the lesson of types of government. They will now know where to categorize Fiji in its leadership or government type. My content summary. Students, however, now know the difference between the different types of government and its features. Then I will allow this assign duties to each student, and then the students will then help each other to tidy the classroom to prepare for the next class. Thank you.